Every language has a history of its own. This is a point that has been repeatedly emphasized in the study of language history. Therefore, English, as the most widely used language in the world, is no exception. Today, let's talk about the history and growth of the English language. This video series will be released in 3 parts. In the first episode, we will begin with the Indo-European languages in the pre-English era. With the advancement of modern linguistic science, our ability to analyze the phonetic features of languages often depends on audio recordings and detailed acoustic analysis. Linguistic experts carefully listen, using spectral analysis to conduct in-depth research. However, it's clear that for historical languages, such methods are not available. The further back in time we go, the scarcer the evidence about languages becomes, especially when it comes to spoken language. Without a time machine like Dollar Amon's, reconstructing past speech is extraordinarily challenging. As a result, our understanding of language history largely relies on indirect evidence cross-referencing different types of clues to draw conclusions. Around the 16th century, Europeans began noticing striking similarities between many languages spoken on the Indian subcontinent and those of Europe. By 1786, Sir William Jones, a Welsh linguist, famously pointed out in a lecture the remarkable similarities among the 3 oldest known languages of his time, Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. He also tentatively included Gothic, Celtic, and Persian in his family, though he did not name their hypothetical common ancestor. It wasn't until 1813 that the brilliant physicist Thomas Young coined the term Indo-European to describe this group of related languages stretching from Western Europe to northern India. To study ancient languages, linguists use a method called comparative reconstruction. The astonishing similarities between Sanskrit and European languages clearly showed that their morphological patterns could be traced back to a shared origin. For example, comparing the forms of the verb to be across these languages reveals striking parallels. By examining more features, it becomes evident that these languages descended from a common ancestor. People had long recognized the similarities among German, English, Dutch, and the Scandinavian languages, which led to the concept of Proto-Germanic. In 1822, the German linguist Jacob Grimm took a crucial step forward. Following advice from the Danish linguist Rasmus Rask, Grimm proposed a systematic explanation for certain consonant changes in the Germanic languages compared to Sanskrit, Greek, and Latin. According to Grimm, the voiceless stops in Proto-Indo-European remain unchanged in Latin and Greek, but shifts to fricatives in Germanic languages. For instance, Latin bes and gendum correspond to English foot and 100. Similar consonant correspondences can be observed elsewhere. This sound change is summarized in what we now call Grimm's law, which describes 3 sets of consonant shifts. First, Proto-Indo-European voiced aspirated stops become Proto-Germanic voiced stops or fricatives, as allophones. Second, Proto-Indo-European voice stops become Proto-Germanic voiceless stops. Third, Proto-Indo-European voiceless stops change into Proto-Germanic voiceless fricatives. However, Grimm's law did not explain all the irregularities in Proto-Germanic sound changes. In 1875, linguist Carl Werner identified another important historical sound shift, now known as Werner's law. This law states that voiceless fricatives at the end of unstressed syllables become voiced. To understand Werner's law, one must consider whether a syllable is stressed or unstressed. Initially, voiceless stops at the end of Proto-Indo-European syllables change into voiceless fricatives, as Grimm's law predicts. Then, depending on stress, Werner's law would apply. If the syllable is unstressed, the voiceless fricative becomes voiced. If stressed, the sound remains unchanged. For example, the Proto-Indo-European cognates of the English words brother and ten have stress on the first syllable, so the following consonants cannot undergo Werner's law changes. In contrast, Father and Seven reflect sound changes from both Grimm's and Werner's laws. Of course, the history of Indo-European languages involves many other complex changes, such as the Germanic accent shift and simplification of consonant clusters, but we won't delve into those here. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper into the story of the English language history. See you next time.